No, all I'm saying is, if if you,
And I said, oh, wow, that's interesting. And then she looked at me and she said, where are you applying? And I said, UC Irvine, because frankly, I had no idea where I was applying. And she said, oh, wow. And I said, yeah, I haven't got my application yet. And she said, oh, well, I have an extra one. And that's how I ended up applying to UC Irvine. And literally, I applied to one college and got accepted to that one college. So in some ways, I was very blessed. I had known that I wanted to go to college, although I can't tell you for sure why. I just believed that I could learn something, and it would, quote unquote, allow me to succeed. And also, I had, when I was younger in fourth grade, had been inspired by a pediatrician who came to my class, and he was so kind and nice that I decided at that point I was going to be a doctor. And of course, to go to medical school, you have to get an undergraduate degree in most cases. So that was the motivation.
So then you arrive at UC Irvine, and how close would you say your experience as an undergrad was to the typical American college student at that time?
In what way do you mean exactly?
Did you find yourself exploring a lot of different ideas? Were you ever distracted, like, oh, actually, maybe it might be kind of interesting to go this direction? Or was it pretty much
this Jim Doty
100% all 4 years, I got to pass to become a doctor?
Yeah, it was, I'm going to become a doctor, and my mind never deviated from that. And so in some ways, that's very helpful if you're single-minded about something. I had friends who didn't know what they wanted to be, and even at the age of 30 or 35, they still didn't know what they wanted to be, and they jumped from job to job and trying to sort that out. And so for me, it was much easier in that regard. But the reality is, if you have not learned how to learn or attend, and your grades are mediocre at best, it's hard to understand what it actually takes to be a doctor. And there are many people who come from disadvantaged backgrounds and who say, I want to do this. But unfortunately, for all sorts of reasons, the cards are stacked against them. I was very fortunate on one level because of the single-mindedness, but I fundamentally had no understanding of how college worked or what was required. And, I had made a list of things I wanted to do, and that getting to college was one, and I wanted to letter in an intercollegiate sport. And so I actually ended up joining the crew team or rowing team because that was a sport, unlike football or basketball or baseball, where you needed no prior experience, because the nature of my growing up was such that while I did participate in them for all sorts of reasons, I did not excel or oftentimes complete it because of my personal family situation.
So now tell us your story of how you get accepted into medical school. You didn't have the GPA that they were looking for when it came time to apply to a medical program. Your story of getting into medical school is pretty remarkable. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, first of all, again, because of my home situation, it was very difficult because my brother was not, if you will, emotionally available or at home to deal with issues at home. I had an older sister who was 9 years older and moved far away. And so I was